Hello and welcome. One of the most successful joint ventures in defense in India has been between the Hindustan Aeronautics Limited and the British Aerospace Systems company in the UK. Let's find out a little more about this venture and what's been cooking there with Dean McCumiskey, the CEO of BAE Systems in India. Dean, thank you very much for speaking with us.
My pleasure.
So I'm going to come to the HAL in a bit, but tell us a little more. I mean, BAE Systems has been in India for many years, many decades actually, and through various periods, and I'm sure and through many products and services. What are some of the more memorable moments?
I think more recently, on the anniversary of the Indian Air Force, the appearance of the Tiger Moth aircraft. I don't know if you remember it, but that goes back to one of our first aircraft from a legacy point of view in India, and we've had a presence virtually ever since. Going back about 30 years ago, we co-produced the Jaguar aircraft with Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, and then more recently we've moved on to co-produce the Hawk training aircraft, the advanced jet trainer, that we're very proud is the frontline trainer for the Indian Air Force, and now more recently the Indian Navy.
Right.
So we've been around a long time.
Right. For someone who doesn't understand aviation, walk us through what is the nature of the joint venture. I mean, what do you produce? How much is brought in? What are the components that are produced locally? How does it get put together?
Well, our joint venture, we have our joint venture with HAL is more around software, and then we have a collaboration which is the Hawk aircraft. On the Hawk aircraft side, basically HAL do all of the integration and assembly and test and final fly-off of the aircraft. So we contribute some components, we contribute some of the wider Hawk supply chain into HAL, then HAL take all of those either full assemblies or sub-assemblies and put them all together, then integrate the aircraft with its software, and then do test flying, and then they're sold off then to either the Indian Air Force or the Indian Navy. On the software side of the equation, we've had a joint venture with HAL since 1994 called BAE HAL, which is a software and services organisation, which has really kept our relationship very, very active between the two shareholders. And it's now, after a period of challenging times, it's now looking very, very optimistic for the future for the organisation as far as future growth.
Right. So tell us about the India-British corridor, and you've had some thoughts on what could be done to evolve that relationship.
Well, I always feel from a British point of view, particularly in aerospace and defence, we're on the back foot compared to the Americans and the Russians and the French and the Israelis. And I think it's time to recognise that that's for good reason, and to identify some of the challenges, and then in conjunction with UK government and Indian government, try to really pinpoint some of the areas where the UK can contribute to India's strategy about indigenisation and about transfer of technology and things that India need from a national security point of view, and then to focus and work on them and start to deliver.
And what are the challenges that you face and would have faced?
Well, I think the biggest challenge we always feel is that we're behind the other countries that are already along the way. So I think our biggest challenge is how do we catch up quickly.
And what about the regulatory environment?
It's tough. There's no doubt about it. The regulatory requirement out of the UK is bad, and the regulatory requirement in India is equally as tough. I guess the two countries have a lot in common. However, nothing's insurmountable, and I'm pretty sure that India is looking to reform its defence and aerospace sector, and it takes time. You know, the view of the organisation is, if you're in India, you're in it for a long time. So, you know, if you're not in it for the long haul, don't be in it at all.
So, what are the new areas that you're looking at? So, HAL is something that's been there for a while. You had a short venture and a friendly, amicable separation, as I understand, with Mahindra's. What's coming up? What's on the horizon, either conceptually or specifically?
Well, we have more collaborations to do with HAL, which is really about extending the capability of the Hawk aircraft to do a lot more things as far as the training environment. More recently, we're also looking within the security side of our organisation to work with the banking and financial and insurance sector to provide platforms for anti-money laundering and regulating. So these are platforms that will help. India's just about to begin the measurement of its regulation of its financial sector. So these platforms help with those regulatory reforms and also help with anti-money laundering. So it's an exciting new sector, and it will open up new opportunities for us to either joint venture with other organisations or even look towards activity as far as acquisition of new companies. These are outside of defence, so they're not typically limited to the much talked about 26% FDI from a defence point of view.
Right. And do you see India being a sourcing and technology development base for the security, as in the software side of?
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. And from a company like ours, you know, we cannot ignore the labour arbitrage that we get from India, and you know the levels of expertise that we have from an engineering point of view, particularly software engineers, is higher than I've seen in many other countries, including the UK and America.
Dean, thank you very much for speaking with us.
My pleasure.
Thank you.